Woof, woof. Well, I figure I'll take a break off of mowing my yard. I mean, my trusty John Deere lawnmower that's been around for, well, over 20 years or so. And new mower deck. Went from a 52 or 54 to a 60-inch and, deck width. I mean, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me talk about my lawnmower, but just to tell you how worn out my other mower deck was getting, I was told that the 60-inch deck on this lawnmower, I was gonna have to like work the throttle to try to get it to start, because it's gonna start so hard and the mower won't be able to turn it over, and it's just gonna be so terrible. And I told my buddy, he was telling me all that, and okay, brought this one home, hooked it onto the lawnmower. This one starts easier than the 54-inch deck. My other one was just getting that shook between, age and bearings, probably getting to the end of their service life. I mean, the thing's cut acres and acres and acres of hay, or, well, not hay, grass. So, crop update sounds like a good bad idea. We are getting another chance of rain right now. Not a lot. I think we're in the 50% chance. I just swallowed a bug. Yuck. Yeah, that was disgusting. So, the big question I get from family members, people that are just stopping in, Brittany's friend, she just asked me too, and she's not even an ag person, was asking, how's the damage from the storm? How did we fare? How bad is it? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The home farm, which is typically our best yielding farm, got hit pretty bad. It was, I don't know what percentage I'd really put it at. If 50% damage, I mean, just as a whole, as far as if the corn is leaned over or if it's flat or whatever else, 50% is probably a pretty healthy number, and there's probably a chance that 50% doesn't quite cover it. So it's unfortunate, but that is farming. I mean, there's a lot of damaged crops in the area, but the thing is, we're down at my place, and the storm line where the damage kind of stops is actually like a quarter mile that way. I mean, it seems like once you got past, oh, just a little over halfway here, the damage really tapered off. Like my place, it's really not that bad. I mean, the beans are kind of laid over a little bit, but overall, that's pretty common. I planted these lighter. I don't plant them at 180,000 or 160,000. Lower quality farm, lower soil health farm. I guess 140, I think, is where I put this one at. 140,000 seeds to the acre. And like the home farm, the higher producing ground, I like to plant beans at like 110,000. I'm trying to reduce the amount of lodging that we get. Lodging is, when they're laying over and you got to harvest them in one direction, so you're actually getting all your yield. So as far as the crop progress goes, the beans turned incredibly quick. These were green not that long ago, and as far as when we're going to start combining, there's a reason why. Hey, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 pods. Or 4 beans in that pod. Cool. Andrew found a 5 bean pod not that long ago, which is really hard to find. But as far as harvest goes, the combine, there's a reason why I went through and wanted to get it up and running, because by the end of this month, weather permitting, which the weather outside of damaging the crops, it's actually done a pretty good job at progressing the crop. We're a lot farther along maturity wise this year than we have been in probably the last 3. So there is a healthy chance that we'll be harvesting, or we'll be able to harvest soybeans in September this year. As far as the corn goes, I'm not too overly worried about corn just yet. The damaged corn is probably the stuff we're going to harvest first, just because it's already starting to go down. Well, it's already down. And as far as I'm concerned, I should probably try to focus on getting that out of the field before it gets any worse. So that's about all I really got to say about the corn and beans for the time being. Quick question I want to answer is, I put that hay preservative applicator on the round baler, and the question was, any opinions as far as hay quality, hay health, as far as putting it on our hay to keep the quality up. I haven't really fed out any of that hay that's been treated with it yet. The reason I put that hay preservative on is because of the Valley Farm, because it's got the low areas where getting it completely dry is a challenge, and I like to be able to sleep at night and not having to worry quite so much about my hay rotting on me when it's in the shed. So what I can tell so far is the stuff that I did at the beginning of the summer that I thought would be lower quality, like it just wouldn't really turn out that well. I was planning on feeding it. Oh, I think that bug's still in my mouth. I was planning on feeding it just because I didn't think the quality was still going to be there. There's actually about 40 bales that I would have preferred if I was going to be able to sell them, but I just figured I'd be giving them to my cows. Well, I just looked at them here within the last week, and they actually look just as nice as the nicest hay that I've made this year so far. Isn't really deteriorated much at all, isn't really showing any signs that it heated or anything like that, and I'm considering going through and selling some of it if that's an option. My cows are down here right now. I haven't actually given you guys an update on my cows since they've been brought down here, but if I wasn't trying to mow the yard before the next rain, maybe I'd take you guys back and show you the cows. But the hay preservative, I think, is working as long as you get past that learning curve. I do believe I didn't put it on heavy enough at the beginning of the summer. That first stuff that I made, it was a learning experience. I pretty much got to the point where the stuff is expensive, but it's cheap insurance, and I was putting it on at 4 pounds, 4 pounds per ton. I think I'm saying that right. For the most part, I think most of you guys know that I was having issues with the hay moisture tester. Inaccurate. I did. Some of the problem is that I wasn't keeping it or putting it in the bale and actually just letting it sit for 30 seconds to a minute and actually letting it heat, letting it actually get actually situated in the bale and then hitting the test. Your test results are different if you actually let the tester sit in the bale for up to a minute or so, as opposed to just putting it in the bale, hitting the test button, and moving on. I've come to the conclusion I've been putting it on 8 to 10 pounds, or was it 8 to 10 pounds per ton, so twice as much as I was doing at the beginning of the summer. And the last hay that I've been making is pretty beautiful stuff. This isn't my hay, this is my dad's stuff, and I did put it on some of these bales. I mean, it's waterway hay, but yet it didn't heat, it didn't didn't get hot. It all goes through a little bit of a sweat, but the hay quality is still there. As far as the stuff that I was going to feed to my cows, which I still will if my cows need the feed, I may be willing to sell it. The stuff, as far as what I'm hoping to get for it, I know what my cost production is, or at least I will once I am officially done like making hay for the year, because my cost of production is dependent on how much, well, you know, how many bales I actually get at the end of the year that I'm planning on selling. Also, what my expenses are that I'm putting into producing my hay crop for this year. Now, the thing that's inflating my cost of production, that you know, I'm holding it against it because I bought that equipment, the hay rake, the New Holland roller bar hay rake, and that sprayer. Wind's picking up. I'm holding it against this year's hay production. Now, I could go through and say over 2 or 3 years, but I'd like to actually pay everything off that hay ground if I can afford to. And that way I'm going into next year with the only thing I really have is, you know, rent, my inputs, fuel, you know, hay preservative, whatever else like that, net wrap. I mean, that's largely what the inputs are. And then I don't have any equipment payments to take off of that. Another purchase that I really would like to make here in the short term is actually another hay wagon, like my the bale carrier. I'm getting another. It's either John BM Manufacturing or JBM Manufacturing. I've looked at the site probably a dozen times, and you think I could remember the name of the site, but they have I do believe it's a 8 bale capacity. It's got 8 racks, so you can stack 8 bales on the bottom and then up to 3 bales on the top. I think it depends on what they recommend depending on the size of the bales you're making, but up to 11 bales of the 5x5s that I make, I'll be able to pull on that, and then I'd be able to hook the bale carrier that I have on the back of it. They don't recommend that generally, but weld up a heavy enough hitch on the back of it and pull my hay wagon behind it with 6 bales on that without any stacked on top, and you know, more bales in one trip, or at least even being able to use the bigger bale carrier for hauling hay in through some of our tighter, harder to reach areas. That's kind of what I got in my mind right now. As far as the cows go, I haven't discussed what I'm really thinking on the cows, but my plan is I'm planning on keeping probably a feed bin, the white bin I have at the farm, that feed bulk bin. I'm planning on keeping enough corn at least to fill that. I'm gonna dump it into our feed mill, mix up a batch because I'm gonna add, you know, mineral concentrate to it, and then I'm actually gonna, I have to set up our grain auger up to my bulk bin because our grain mixer, our feed mixer, can't reach the top of my bulk bin, and just run out that corn out of the gravity box, because it's our Easy Trail gravity box holds 500 bushels. Run it through the feed mill, run it into the grain auger, and fill that bulk bin up, and then feed my steers that way. Planning on running our cows to the chute, my cows to the chute, Dad's cows to the chute. I mean, try to get them run through in December if we can just get around to it, because you know, the last 3 years it's been difficult trying to do it. But especially now that I have my cows, I want to know what's all bred back, what isn't. I didn't buy a bunch of young cows. I have some. They're not all 3 to 5 year old cows, but I have some that are old enough cows, and if they didn't get bred back, I'm going to make the decision as to whether or not I'm going to give them a chance with the bull again in January, February for fall calving, or I'm just going to take them to the sale, get rid of them, and there's another bred cow sale in December. I may be willing, I'm tempted to go to the bred cow sale in December and add a few more cows to my herd that way. So that's where I'm at with that. I'll try to give you guys an update on the cows down here. It's just that I don't get home generally until it's starting to get dark out, and because the time change is already coming, I'll go this way. The time change is already coming. Well, the seasons are changing, and as opposed to it getting dark at 9 o'clock, it's now currently like 10 to 8 at night, and it's dark out. So I mean, it's already going on 7:05, and it'll be dark within an hour already. And yeah, the fall rush, the fall seasonal rush is quickly closing up on us. Chisel plow, I gotta get that out of the stinking weeds, and I gotta get that back up to the farm too. So more, not necessarily repair videos, but more gotta work on it videos. So with that, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And I gotta get mowing my yard.